programming and patter. You might have heard of Whiskey Web and whatnot, but we've changed today. We've got some lovely Prosecco. We have guest host Jason Lengstorf and our guest Angie Jones. How's it going?
Hello.
Okay, so you've been on the show before, but for anyone who has not heard that one and has not heard of you, could you please give a few sentences about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so I'm Angie Jones. I am VP of Engineering over AI tools and enablement at Block. Worked in various roles throughout tech over the decades, but yeah, I love teaching and speaking and talking about tech.
Nice, nice. All right, so the thing we're all here for, we've got this Prosecco. It is 100% Prosecco, and it is from Costco, so you know it's good. And yeah, let's get into it.
Bubbly.
I guess I should be pouring this here. I don't know if you could even hear it if I did. Oh, you kind of can.
Oh, that's
there it
nice.
is.
Cheers.
You got a toast for
Cheers.
us?
I do. Okay, to MCP, the protocol that finally made our AIs talk to each other instead of just hallucinating alone. Cheers to context, connection, and controlled chaos.
I love that.
All right, so this one tastes remarkably more like wine
It does taste
than the
yeah.
last one.
Yeah, last time we had bubbly juice.
Yeah.
This time it tastes like wine, and it tastes like Costco wine.
Is that high praise or?
Means we'll have a headache by lunch.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, not a lot of flavor notes or anything to write home about. It's a Prosecco. All right, our rating system is 0 to 8 tentacles. 0 being the worst, 8 being the best, 4.5-ish being middle of the road. What do you think, Jason?
I think I gotta be maybe more gentle because Prosecco is not typically my favorite.
Okay.
But this one in particular, it's a little metallic.
So the thing about Italian wine, though, is that it all has to be like approved by some guy who says this tastes like Prosecco. Check mark. So,
Are you sure?
yes, it's DOC labeled. I ripped it all off, but yeah.
Well, then my apologies to Italy because I'm rating this a 2.
Oh my God.
What do you think, Angie?
You know, I like my Prosecco and wines on the sweeter side, and this does give me those sweeter notes, so I really like that. I usually will drink something like this as a mimosa with some orange juice. So I'm thinking about it in that regard, and I think it would be really good. So I'm gonna go with like maybe like a 4.5.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 5. It's a Prosecco. Tastes like Prosecco.
Decent Prosecco.
We could mix the other one in, which is kind of like a juice.
Then it's kind of a mimosa.
Then I get a mimosa.
All right. Got a few lukewarm takes here. Claude or GPT?
As far as models,
Yeah. I mean, no context at all as to when you would be picking which. Just which one?
oh wow. I can't go the it depends route.
No, you can.
Okay.
Just kidding.
I'm just
Okay. So it definitely depends on what
Yeah.
I'm trying to do. So if I'm trying to code, do anything like really technical, I'm going to grab Claude all day. If I'm having a discussion, I'm trying to brainstorm, something like that, I'm going to go with GPT. You know, they say that GPT-5 is pretty good at coding. I don't know. I haven't tried it. I don't like it so much for even discussions. So I definitely don't want to try it for coding. But yeah, that's my take.
Okay. Yeah, I've not had much success with GPT in coding. It gives me a lot of trash.
Yeah. All right. So I won't even waste my time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I'm just gonna skip that one. Is HTML a programming language?
No. It's a language. It's a
That's true.
markdown language. I think of programming languages as, there's specific criteria that a programming language has. Things like conditional statements or iterations and things like that. That does not exist in HTML. There's some structure, yes. There's some rules, yes, but not quite programming. That does not mean I'm a gatekeeper. Let the record show.
Okay, so follow-up, is CSS a programming language?
That one I would have said no a while back, but they have gotten really deep, and I'm not a CSS whiz at all, so
they're
I don't
cooking
even,
these days.
They are cooking. Like, there's a lot that you can do, or other people can do. I cannot do. There's a lot you can do with CSS, nowadays, as far as like logic and hierarchy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I
They
don't
got
know.
functions now.
Yeah,
They got functions. They got if else now.
Okay, well, yes. I'm gonna
I
say
think
yes.
we're Turing complete at this point.
I
I'm
think
gonna
so.
say yes.
All right. You heard it here first. Okay, so I don't know how to phrase this. I'll just read it. Is AI to blame when people do dumb shit with it? Like, I don't know. I guess,
All
should
right.
there be guardrails or I don't know. I don't know what the context is.
I found myself this weekend telling some reply guy skills issue. I do think that we all know this is a non-deterministic tool. AI is, right?
Yeah.
This is non-deterministic. So when you say it did something wrong, like, what does that mean? Like there is no right. You know what I mean? And so the way that you get it to perform what you want it to do is very much so a human skill, right?
Yep.
And so I would say it's not the AI's fault. But I don't want to blame humans either. Like, this is new to all of us. We're all trying to figure out how do we work with non-deterministic, very powerful systems now, right? And so it is a skill issue. I wasn't trying to be mean, but it really is a skill issue.
But I think too, like, it's really important to keep in mind that, like, AI can't be blamed because AI is a tool. Like, if you hit yourself in the head with a hammer, it's not the hammer's fault,
Or
right?
should there have been a warning on the hammer that said if you hit yourself in the head?
And this is sort of the question is like, is it necessary to put the contents hot label on a cup of coffee or things like that? And it sounds silly, like that McDonald's lawsuit is always pointed to as like the frivolous lawsuit, but if you actually look into it, that coffee was so dang hot that it gave that woman, like, it fused her skin together. It was so hot, right? So it wasn't really a frivolous lawsuit. And but it does kind of point to, like, okay, where does responsibility end?
Yeah.
Like, where does a tool, like, if I have a knife in my house, do I need to have a posted placard on my front door that says, caution, sharp things contained within this house? And I think the same is kind of true with digital tools. Like, LLMs are not intelligent, right? We don't.
But they act like it.
They're anthropomorphized, which is a really dangerous thing because we think of them as people, despite them
that's
just
the
being
problem.
complicated calculators.
Yeah.
And so if you go to your complicated calculator that's been explicitly prompted, like in the GPT-4 era, to be a sycophant, and you say, I don't like what you said to me, tell me something else, and it says, you're absolutely right, here's the thing you wanted to hear, and then people are like, oh, it's the AI's fault. It's like, no, it's not. This is the billionaire problem. If you only surround yourself with people who tell you what you want to hear, and they give you bad advice because you push everybody who gives you good advice away,
That's right.
that is not their fault. That's your fault, right? And if you won't listen to a tool until it tells you the thing you already wanted it to say, that's still on you, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Spicy, Jason.
I don't even think that's spicy. That's like if I hold my calculator upside down and write boobs, my calculator is not being inappropriate.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard problem because I feel like there's not enough education around, like for the casual, non-technical person. They just pick up some AI and they're like, oh, this is like super smart. It knows what it's talking about. You tell it to make you a plan, and that plan sounds smart.
This
Like,
is the thing that I think needs a warning. Is I think whenever you start a ChatGPT 4 session, right, it should come with an acknowledgement that says, like, before you start this, you know this isn't alive, right? This is a calculator. You are using a tool. This is not a person. It's not a friend. It's not a conscious entity. It's a tool.
yeah.
And like that to me seems like a reasonable thing because it is masquerading as a conscious person.
Yeah.
But it'll tell you. It'll say, I'm not intelligent. I'm not human.
Well, sometimes until you ask it, like, do you have feelings? And it's like, I have feelings. And it'll do stuff that's really interesting, where it sort of it puts on its anthropomorphized face.
My ChatGPT don't play that. Like, it knows. Stay in your place. You are not me. You're not
Right.
one of us.
Yeah. All right, so we're at All Things Open, so I want to ask open source things. How has open source influenced your life?
Oh my God. I think it gave me a great pathway to I guess work out loud, right? So when you're working at a company on enterprise software, you can't really get into the nitty-gritty of what you're building or the techniques and things that you are using. Just a little bit, right? You can share a little bit, but not the whole story. In open source, once I started working on open source projects, that gave me something that I can publicly talk about, and talk with others about. Now we have this common thing that we use or we invest in or we love or we hate or whatever, but that gave us something to talk about in the public domain, right? And so that was really big for me because it gave me a platform and a stage and the opportunity to make myself known in this space. But more than that, I actually studied open source while doing my master's. We had an open source class. And so I learned a lot about just governance of projects and maintainers and, how to be nice to contributors and welcome it and how not to do this with your project. For those listening, I'm doing my arms I'm hoarding something. But yeah, it basically it was different. I grew up in the era of Microsoft software where everything was so proprietary that no way could you look at it, let alone contribute to it, and everything was a pay-to-play model. And so to see open source come and really shake that up and just change the minds in how we develop software, that's been I don't know, just groundbreaking for me personally.
I mean, and not just shake it up, but almost completely extinguish the other model.
Yeah.
Even the hardcore closed source people are still they're using and often shipping open source. Microsoft was the #1 opponent.
That's right.
And
I remember.
Here they are. They're the champions of open source.
They own all of open source. Yeah.
Open source. Yeah, that's exactly right. That's been really interesting to watch. So much so that they acquired GitHub,
And NPM.
And NPM.
Yep.
And NPM. So yeah, that's been really interesting to watch. I love the open source community. I work on an open source AI agent now named Goose, and I did a talk a couple of weeks ago just talking about the open source nature of it and how important open source is right now when we look at the agentic AI movement. So we're starting to see these kind of walled gardens again, where you have proprietary companies that are controlling both the models as well as the agent. Call me a conspiracy theorist, but if I'm going to benefit from the agent taking the long way to solve your problem because you're spending more money on tokens. I don't know. I might bake that into.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not saying anybody's doing that, but just things that cross my mind. You know what I mean? And so I think that even right now, as we're like looking at AI, we're trying to figure it out. It's really important for the open source players to have a seat at this table and to help basically guide where we're going, which is what I think that Goose does, right? So Goose is not the most used agent or anything like that, but I'll tell you what it is. It was the reference implementation for MCP from the client side. And because it's open source, the community decides what agentic AI will be for them. Because we have the most permissible license. People can fork it, people can contribute to it, and they contribute the features they want to see. And a lot of that is transparency.
Yep.
And this forces the other big players to then adopt that. So Goose usually is the first one that's going to have things like, why are we stuck with one model and one provider?
Yep.
What if we open this up and you bring any model you want to this, right? People weren't doing that. And now you're starting to see this is now being forced because consumers are saying, hey, I don't want just one model. I might want GPT for my planning and reasoning, and I want to use Claude when it's time to execute, or even a cheaper local model for execution or something like that, right? And so the community, the open source community is the one that is pushing what agentic AI will be. And I'm proud that Goose is one of the vehicles that allows them to do that.
So, somewhat related to open source and AI, let me think how I can say this. Like, the thing recently everyone's been all like, oh, if you can't take art for free and use it in AI, then it's like AI would die. Like, we need all this free stuff. How do you think that relates to like code and like all the code it's getting from GitHub, and is there a problem there, and how do we like have some sort of funding back from that or something to keep sustaining open source? Because if there's nothing to pull from, then where does it get its data from?
That's a hard problem. I'm not a fan of how these models were born and trained on data essentially without people's permission, right? I don't like that. The world seems to have decided, though, that this is so valuable that we are willing to overlook that you stole all of the data from the internet to build these tools, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know where we go from here, honestly. I don't know. Jason, what do you think?
I think there's some precedent for ways to make this stuff work, because basically what we're looking for is, if a private company is going to go into a public space and do something that benefits that company, it shouldn't be solely for the company's benefit. And so, like, an example of one way that we've seen this done is in Vancouver, for example. If you're going to build a building, you have to include a certain portion of that building that is affordable housing, because they're worried that if people come in and just build luxury condos,
That's right.
it's going to ruin the city,
Right.
Because there won't, it won't be possible for people to live there. Look at San Francisco, for example. So the people building can either put in that percentage of affordable housing, or they can fund public works, like a public park, a public library, something like that. So in some way, the company has to allocate some of its profit toward benefiting the community that it's going to benefit from. Right. And so one of the things I would love to see, and this is where I think why they're fighting so hard against regulation, I think that they should be taxed at a higher rate, and that should go back into funding art education, funding, actually paying for these programs that they benefit from. Because if they need that to exist, if art is so important that if we made them pay for it, the company folds, kind of sounds like they need to build that into their profit model.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I mean, the other outcome is like, if we don't do this, then they're going to continue to use the stuff for free,
Yep.
which is going to disincentivize anybody from doing it because they know their work's going to get stolen, which means the inputs suffer, which means that
Yeah.
eventually this dries up and everybody's far worse off for it.
Yeah.
So this
And
is
every
one of those
website is
things where,
purple.
well, and I mean, this is sort of the thing I'm worried about
Yeah.
is that we're very bad as an industry, as a country, as a species, at thinking about second and third order effects of things. And the first order effect of AI is that everybody gets access to all this great information really fast. The second order effect is that it disincentivizes literally everybody else from creating.
Yep.
Because they know that their work is going to get chewed up by the AI and they won't get compensated for it. So the third order effect is we stop getting good information,
Yep.
and the AIs are frozen at whatever level they were at.
Yep.
Right? And so if the companies are smart, then putting 10% of their profit into sustaining the creativity that makes their product good is a really wise investment. But I don't think they're smart.
No.
I think they're greedy, and I think they're not
yeah.
going to do it. And I think it's going to cost us a lot in the long
Yeah.
run, unless we get regulation.
Well, I mean, that, like, when they first started, Sam Altman was all, oh, yeah, like, this is a non-profit, and, like, all this bullshit.
I mean,
And it's like,
between like Sam Altman and Peter Thiel and Mark Andreessen, I think we've realized that the people in charge are not good people.
yeah, yes. Yeah, because I think if you did that and you took, like, all the money made and you put it in funds for, like, if you put us all out of work, we get some of that money, then, like,
I think this is, sorry, this is your episode.
No,
I'm going to
go
rant.
ahead. No, go.
The thing that makes me the most mad is when you see an interview with these folks and they say something like, well, yeah, so AI is going to make it so that people don't have to work. We're going to make it so that you live these lives of leisure, and it's going to drive the prices down. And I'm like, motherfucker, have you ever seen a company voluntarily
Right.
lower prices? Have
Yeah.
you ever
Never.
seen a society make it possible for somebody to exist without having to make money?
Yeah.
Especially, and the same people who are saying this are the same people that, vote against
Right.
the types of programs that help people in need. So
Yeah.
now all of a sudden we're all in need, and we think that these billionaires are
Right.
going to say, oh, you know what? Here's a couple of $1 million, Jason. Go live your best life.
Yeah, like we've literally never seen Peter Thiel part with anything to help somebody else out.
Yeah.
Like, he is out to amass the most he can.
yeah.
And if he wins the anti-regulation stuff and he becomes one of the the prime investors who has all the AI bucks coming in, and he becomes the one of the world's first trillionaires, he's not going to turn around and pay for me to go to art school.
Yeah.
Right? He's going to find a way to monetize my therapist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's going to make it so I got to pay to go outside. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like we're I don't know. It's just very frustrating that we're saying, like, oh no, don't regulate innovation, and then the promise is if we have unbounded regulation or unbounded innovation, it's going to benefit society. We have zero proof, zero precedent, no plan, no
Yeah.
promise on how they're actually going to make anybody's lives better. So the end result most likely is that wealth disparity increases, and we, I don't even know what happens next, because
Riots
if
is
we
what
don't
happens next.
Well, I mean, the last time we had wealth disparity this bad, right? It was like the Great Depression, at the end of the Gilded Age. The last time we saw that in Europe, they started cutting people's heads off. Like, historically, this does not end well for the very,
Yeah.
very rich people.
Yeah.
Right? And
So it's in their best interest.
Again, lack of understanding
Yeah.
of second and
Yeah.
third order effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
I almost feel like companies think that they can't even afford to think about that.
Mhm.
Like, the race is so tight on a global scale of, we all know we're in a bubble. It'll burst. Some will fall, some will stand. So everybody's racing to be the one that stands, in morals, ethics, everything is like, I have no time to think about that. Like, I just gotta win the race.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like. That's where we are.
And honestly, this is to bring this away from the precipice of like the most depressing episode of Whiskey Web and Whatnot ever made.
Cheers.
I do want to say this is one of the things that I really admire about you specifically, Angie, is that when I saw this coming up, my instinct was to back away. I was like, I don't want to be involved in this because this is going to be exactly what you just said. And you dove right in. Right? And I think that's so, like, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I feel like I looked at this and I was like, this is going to be exhausting. These are not the people that I want to be surrounded with. This is not the culture that I want to be a part of. And you looked at it and you said, I'm not going to be in that room. I'm not going to not be in that room. Like, I'm not going to let them make decisions without us.
Because they will.
And
Yeah.
I admire you because
Thank
I don't
you.
have the whatever it is that makes you strong enough to do that. Because I'm like, whatever, just put me in the data mine, I guess. I'll just work away when all the jobs are gone.
Okay. Yeah, let's pivot back a little. Let's talk about MCP in general. Still AI, but a little lighter. What is MCP?
Okay, so MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. It's an open standard that was developed by Anthropic. It's pretty new, less than a year old. It was released in November 2024. So what MCP does, like all the stuff we complained about in the early days of using AI, where they're hallucinating a lot and just kind of making things up and stuff like that. The reason they do that is because they don't have context. So, I mean, it's literally, they're not failing. That's how they were designed, right? Is to kind of generate a response, predict what should be the next word, like that. That is what they do, right? And so when you don't have context in front of you, yes, you maybe pick the wrong thing. So MCP provides a way to get your model's context. And with that, the models now also have function calling abilities. Couple those two, and now you get to agents, right? Agentic AI, where you can actually build software that can talk to these models and then take actions on your behalf. And so in order for an agent to take action on your behalf, one, they need to be connected to your systems, and they need data and context. So MCP is a standard that provides a way for the agents to get that context, right? And so it's a nice, clean way so that you don't have to do integrations with every single API that you might want your AI to talk to. Instead, if that API is exposed via an MCP server, for example, you can just plug that into any agent. And MCP is LLM agnostic, it's agent agnostic, so it truly is this open standard, and it's been great for us getting value out of AI.
Okay. So, trying to equate this to, so like in Ember, what I know, we have like, or I guess not even anymore, but you used to have like serializers for your data, right? Or in anything where you need to munch some data, you'll have a serializer. And if anyone didn't quite like get the standard right, the spec right, they didn't quite follow the spec, you have a lot of problems. So I'm wondering if that is a problem with MCP, if like some people are doing a little bit of their own flavor, not following the spec, like, and it doesn't work everywhere, or like, what kind of challenges are you seeing around that, or is it a challenge? I don't know.
It's pretty simple. The spec is wide, and so you don't have to implement like every part of the spec, but there's like certain parts you definitely do if you're gonna like work at all, right? And the I guess most common part of that is the tools part of the spec. So as long as you follow that, you should be good. So your server might not have, you know, all of the other pieces, but the tools part is critical in order for it to work. So as long as you follow that part, and it's not like really hard, it's like, okay, describe the name like this, the description, and then what do you want to do in the body. So very much like a regular function. So there's syntax there, of course, but other than that, yeah, it should be good to go.
And now, have you seen, like, I think I saw you post about this recently where you were saying that people are going out there saying, oh, this is our MCP agent 4X,
Yeah,
our
make me
agent
sick.
4Y. Are you seeing that, is that marketing, or is that, are people trying to build like little walled gardens inside of MCP?
Okay, so it's the servers that they're saying that for. So they build a MCP server, and a MCP server, let's say you make an MCP server for, let's just say YouTube. All right, so I got an MCP server for YouTube, which means if I plug this into any agent, then it should be able to interact with YouTube on my behalf, meaning logged in as me, Angie, and do whatever I needed to do, right? So I can say something like, oh, find me all the videos on MCP and make me like a playlist or something like that, right? Anyway, so if I were to make that server and I said, hey, I made a new YouTube MCP server for Goose or for Claude Code or something like that. Sounds silly. And the reason it sounds silly is because the MCP servers are supposed to be agent agnostic,
Right.
meaning like as long as the agent adheres to the spec, your MCP server works with all of them. So
But I
Kitsy
think
Dodds,
that's sort of the underlying question is like, are you seeing, is it
people
just
say
marketing?
that. I don't know if it's marketing or just a misunderstanding.
Okay.
So, for example, if you use Claude Code, right, you might make an MCP server, you tried it with Claude Code, and you say, yeah, I'm just going to advertise it as this because I haven't even tried it with the rest of the agents. I don't know if it works or not. Or, Claude Code is popular, so you tag that onto yours for
That's what I
SEO
was thinking it
value.
was, yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know why they do it, but it upsets me. Because Kitsy Dodds, he quote tweeted that in that my tweet and said, that's like saying I made a website for Google Chrome. And that's exactly what it's like. Like your website works on any browser. Who cares?
Well, does it, though?
This is the part that always had me worried is
It
because
should.
in the old days, right?
Yeah.
There was like Internet Explorer and
I
Netscape,
remember.
and you would run into the websites and
You-
we're like,
you
oh, you're
would.
on Netscape. You need to open Internet Explorer to see this one.
Yeah.
Right? And so,
So that's kind of
that was my fear,
That's
is that
kinda
we're starting
true.
to see the same thing happen.
Okay, well, that's kind of true. Like I was talking about with the spec. So if I implement tools, yes, I work in like pretty much any, these agents that adhere to the spec are called MCP clients, right?
Mhm.
So I work with any client if I support tools. Now, there's other features within the spec that you can add to your MCP server. But that doesn't mean all of the agents support those yet, right?
Got
For
it.
example, MCP UI is something that's relatively new. It's getting a lot of community interest in it, but it's where, you know how you're talking to your agent and it's just text-based, right? And maybe they even ask you a question saying like, do you want me to do option 1, option 2, or option 3? And you have to type that in, right? That would be better as like a radio, a set of radio
Checkboxes,
buttons,
yeah,
checkbox, something like that, right? So it's something you can interact with. So that's one of the features that's being proposed to the spec. And of course, it's so new that a lot of agents have not adopted it yet. So if your MCP server has that, then yeah, you might say this does not work with this particular agent. In fact, Goose is like the only one that has implemented that, again, because it's open source.
Right,
a community member added that, not the core team, right? And so, yeah.
Okay. So it's early browser days. We're
It is
inventing
early
things.
browser. It's
The
kinda early
features
browser,
are.
yeah.
We haven't unified on like a W3C for MCP oversight.
Okay.
Well, that's what that's kind of what I'm asking, because like, right now the browsers have the sort of like core group that's like, these are the features. We've as a group decided these are going to ship, and then all the browsers will put an intent to ship. And that's the signal that like, yeah, it's coming, so you can safely use this. Whereas other ones are like, well, only Google is going to ship this. So, Safari's not going to ship this, so don't use this on your website unless you're comfortable with non-standard stuff.
I think we're kind of there. I would say that it is adopted, and everybody has done the whole intent to ship thing.
Okay.
They just haven't gotten to it yet,
Okay.
right?
Well, no, that's
Yeah, yeah.
that's actually great to hear that it matured that quickly.
Oh yeah, I think it's pretty mature to be such a young model. There's so much energy around it. There's like all of these working groups and things that are like really focused on making sure that this is a big boy standard, you know?
Yeah.
Is it my question?
Oh, it can be. Yours is
Because I
coming
feel
up.
like it's a good follow-up.
Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the things I was really curious about is, because you've waded into this space that is brand new, and you're working in, enablement, you're running the DevRel team for Goose, you're doing a lot of the outreach stuff. How are you building a educational and advocacy program around concepts that didn't exist last month? Because DevRel, it feels like took many years to mature to the point where there was anything resembling like a standard or a plan that you could follow.
Yeah.
So how have you approached this, and how are you looking at this space and with how quickly it's moving to build a program that is resilient in the face of how fast everything changes?
I get a lot of kudos about my team and how they are essentially teaching the masses about this brand new technology, and it goes far beyond our product, right? So we're teaching concepts that are applicable to our competitor, like any product, and that's totally fine, right? I think that's how it should be done. But I've always been one to kind of work on the cutting edge and then bring everybody along with me. I feel like that's my purpose in tech. I'm pretty good at figuring out new complex stuff and then breaking it down so that we all understand together. I shouldn't be the only one who gets this, but so we're building out loud and learning together. So it's very obvious. This is new. We're not experts. We're very clear about that. And we say, but hey, I tried it out. This is what I've learned. This is what I learned doesn't work so great. And just sharing those lessons. And because we work in DevRel, we have the privilege of working with this stuff day in and day out, whereas other people who are working on production software engineering teams may not be able to dive that deep because they have other deliverables they need to meet, right? The other part of my role is internally with our engineering org, and so I work with them they use all sorts of tools, Goose, Claude, Cursor, they use them all. So I'm very aware of everything that's out there and what works and what doesn't work in real enterprise environments, right? And so my job is to help them go beyond just using code generation, but to embed AI and agents into their repos, into CI, into all the things, right? And so I see a lot, I learn a lot on real, production software development. And so I feel it's my duty to share those lessons more broadly externally.
And so your strategy is kind of just go all in on learning in public.
Oh yeah, go all in on learning in public. I don't know any of this, and you don't either. We gotta learn. I'm gonna take one for the team. Here's what I learned, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to do it, because something you've just learned, you're going to be able to explain better, because that person is in the same exact situation you were in a minute ago. They want to learn it, you just learned it. Perfect.
And it's kind of the only way to get out of what I think the major hang-up for me with a lot of the AI stuff for so long was that every discussion, every demo was theoretical.
Yeah.
People were just telling me what they thought it would do or what they think it could solve, and I was like, build it. Show me anything.
That's right.
I don't believe you because you keep telling me and nobody's showing me and it doesn't seem real.
I did the DevRel Con. So it's funny, all my friends, Jason included, laugh about DevRel Con. And they're like, what is that? Y'all just a bunch of DevRel, selling your products to each other? It's not that at all. DevRel Con is very much about the craft of developer relations and how to do these sorts of things, right? And so I did the keynote there, and I talked about how like DevRel is now on its biggest stage yet. And I talk about like this is a new movement where all engineers, no matter like what they're doing, have like a mandate from like their CEOs that they have to learn these tools and these concepts and these software engineering patterns. And so this just goes way beyond your product or your tool. Like everything that you're doing is uplifting the entire software engineering community. You know what I mean? And so y'all should check that talk out if you have some time.
And just to be clear, I don't think DevRelCon is DevRel selling other DevRel
Oh,
things.
okay,
That's
good.
what I think every other conference is.
Oh, yes. You're not wrong.
Shame.
Oh. Speaking of other conferences, you've been at a few, and we'll be at a few more.
One or two.
Yeah. I wanted to get your take on, like, how do we solve this problem that every single conference is like, when's a good time? October.
Please.
No,
my
seriously.
sleep schedule is begging for an answer to this question.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's draining. I'm on tour right now. I literally will not see my house in the month of October. So it's just like back-to-back trips. The part that gets me is people don't realize like how much it goes into speaking at a conference. Like the major part, of course, is like preparing my talk and all of that. But I mean, each conference is like, oh, can we jump on a call? Oh, can I see your slides? Oh, can we meet? Can we do da? And it's like, I have too many conferences to do this. Like, I'm going to show up, going to do a great job.
Yeah.
And then let's just call it a day,
I hit my breaking point with this because you and I are on tour together here for
Yeah.
a little while. I think we got like 5 events over the next few
yeah.
weeks that we're going to both be at. And I was getting those same emails, and I kind of hit my breaking point, and I just sent an email that was like, listen, I'm so flattered that you wanted me to be part of this. I'm not doing any of that. I understand if you're uncomfortable with that. I will happily yield my spot.
I will.
But like, I can't do it.
I
I'm going to
just
show up.
can't.
I'm going to do a great job.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring my computer and I'm going to plug it in. And that's all it is going to be. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not sending you slides ahead of time. We're not doing a content review. I don't need a speaker coach. I appreciate all of these resources. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, and right now, developer advocates are mostly the ones that people are paying to come to this, right? Like
Yeah.
a lot of these conferences, they're community driven or whatever. They don't have the budget to like fly everybody in. And
Right.
so companies are sponsoring that, which means that those people are overbooked, right? And so they don't like, someone asked for my slides. It's like, I got 5 conferences before I get to your conference. Like, I do not have your I can't even think
your
about
slides will exist roughly 36 hours before your event.
Yeah.
and it'll be phenomenal. I promise you that,
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough. I do think it is helpful on the flip side. If you're like speaking at one conference and you haven't spoken before, you might want those resources. So I can see why they do it. But
that's
like,
exactly what it is. And I think the part that's tricky is like, if I'm running the event, I want to make sure that the speakers are
Yeah.
ready. I want to
Yeah.
make
Yeah.
sure that they're not going to show up and do something that violates the code of conduct. If they're just going to stand up there and like do a 30-minute ad for their company, I want to have a talk with them beforehand. So I know from the conference organizer's perspective why every single one of those steps exists.
Yeah.
It is no judgment on the conference organizers themselves. It's just, and with Angie, it's like, it's Angie's job. I don't get paid to speak, right? Like, I get paid when I work on Code TV stuff. So this for me it's because I really like to speak, and there's networking opportunities, but like, it's kind of a cost center for me. Like, it's almost a marketing expense for me. So if you add 6 hours of meetings, I can't afford to do it.
Yeah. They need speaker pre-check. Like, if you're on the list, you don't have to do the meeting.
Oh my God, that's a great idea.
I love that.
We should make that.
Yeah. I like that.
Okay, I think that's about all we had. What would you like to plug, or where can people find you, etc.?
Yeah, so check me out. My website is angiejones.tech. All my social channels are there. I hang out mostly on LinkedIn these days, as well as Twitter. I'm going to call it Twitter for life. Cesspool, but hey, you know,
But it's
I can.
our
But a fun
It's
cesspool.
my
Yeah.
cesspool. I can find some good content there, you know. But yeah, I really highly encourage. If you're a software engineer right now, you find yourself in the boat that I'm talking about, where you're being kind of pushed to learn how to use these tools effectively. Definitely come outside of your company. There's so many other people who are doing this, who are learning out loud and sharing the things that they're learning. So you want to kind of tap in to the community right now. It's a good time to do that.
Cool. All right. Thanks for coming on, Angie. Thanks,
Yes.
everyone, for listening. If you liked it, please subscribe. Leave us some ratings and reviews. We appreciate it, and we will catch you next time.